Bitcoin is currently below $70,000 and we're likely not going to have rate cuts until 2027. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is in a sticky situation, and in today's video we'll be talking about this, going over the most recent Bitcoin price action, and taking you through my thesis, which seems to be playing out. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So we're currently below some pretty pivotal levels on the Bitcoin chart. You can see here that we're now at 69.7K as I'm recording this video. If you've been tuning into the channel, I was quite vocal about shorting Bitcoin again. So I shorted Bitcoin at around $97,000, but I added to my existing short once we hit those tariff capitulation lows. It required a lot of patience, but as you can see here, this is where I added it, and I went over it in yesterday's FOMC livestream. At this point in time, I want you to understand that Bitcoin is doing exactly what it does in bear markets. We had a big move outside the top of this range. Everyone was getting extremely excited, and you can go back to some of my videos. We talked about it. I even titled my previous video, "Don't Fall for It," as Bitcoin was pumping up to $76,000. Right now, it's the same thing that seems to be playing out. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in bear markets, Bitcoin typically gets these kind of relief rallies only to move lower after. We saw a lot of longs piling into the market. We broke outside the top of our range, only to get rejected. Now, on a weekly time frame basis, the zone that we got rejected from is absolutely pivotal. The reason I say this is because it coincides with the pivot that allowed us to go to all-time highs. If we go on a different Bitcoin chart here and go on the weekly time frame, you'll notice that this zone acts as resistance and support, and it has proven as resistance once more. Let's do a little rectangle here from the previous all-time high of the last cycle up to where we are now, and it is very clear that Bitcoin is getting rejected at this zone. Not only that, we tapped into the tariff capitulation lows. The tariff capitulation lows, to remind you, was essentially the springboard that allowed Bitcoin to make a brand new all-time high this cycle, all the way up to $126,000. And as we've discussed weeks ago, this zone was always going to pose as resistance for Bitcoin. The real question on everyone's mind is, are we going to move much lower from here? Are we going to sweep these 60K lows immediately? Or do we have a chance for another push up? I will tell you this. If Bitcoin can hold above this turquoise line here, the point of control, which is actually right below $68,000, we do have a chance for Bitcoin to get another move to the upside. But right now, if we zoom in, you'll notice that we failed to hold the value area high as support, getting multiple wicks above the level, no closes, and ultimately moving lower. So this is why I've been very vocal about shorting Bitcoin and making money as the market goes down. I've continuously talked about this, and if you want access to all of my own personal trades, how am I entering my trades? You do have that first link in the description down below. If you DM me the keyword CBM on Telegram, you'll be able to join my private group where I share all of my own personal trades on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis. Whenever I go short, I share it in the group, and then I come on the YouTube channel after the fact. So at this point in time, it is still within my expectation that Bitcoin will struggle. Hold above $68,000 or right around that level at the point of control of our existing range, and there is a chance that we get another move up. However, the moment that we start losing this point of control, I would say 60K is imminent. And if you've been following me for a while, I've been talking about the fact that even around here, 60K would come after a relief rally. So I'm happy I'm positioned in the way that I am. It was shared within my community. And also, if we take a look at the liquidation heat map, we had tons of liquidity to the downside. Let me just refresh this and give you an updated version of this. Right now, of course, some more shorts piled in, but people are trying to catch the bottom here. And as I've said time and time again, I don't think that the bottom for Bitcoin is here for this bear market. I do think that there's a high probability this year that Bitcoin will not only sweep these 60K lows, but the bottom could likely at least tap into these previous lows, which were set in August of 2024. This is a real possibility. Now, how would I navigate this from a spot portfolio perspective? Because as you know, I'm shorting Bitcoin, making money on the way down. I would look to accumulate Bitcoin slowly but surely as we start heading back below $60,000. So from a spot portfolio perspective, I'm more than happy to sit on my hands and wait until I think it's the right time to accumulate. I'm not a fortune teller. I just trade the market that's right in front of me. And if I want to add to my Bitcoin stack, it will be sub 60K. And the lower we go, the more that I buy. Remember, just because I've been shorting Bitcoin over the past few months, starting at around $123,000, then $97,000, then $74,000, it doesn't mean that I'm long-term bearish on the asset. It just means I've been playing the trend. Sooner or later this year, I will be looking for swing longing opportunities in this market from the bottom of the bear market, ideally towards the top. Now, these things are very, very difficult to time, which is why I will be buying from a spot portfolio perspective, but I will also be leverage trading. All of that will be shared in my group, of course. And if you don't want to join my group, no worries. It is completely free, but you still get access to my content on the YouTube channel if that's all you want. At this point in time, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that Bitcoin will likely be moving lower. The key level in my books is right around that 68K zone. If we do manage to hold this point of control, perhaps we get another bounce. But I added to my short almost at the top once more. And it's looking very, very similar to what happened when Bitcoin went all the way up to $98,000. We had this range. We managed to hit the top of the range. Everyone was convinced right here that this was the drop that would send Bitcoin much, much lower. And then what happened? We had another move up outside the top of the range, grabbing the upside liquidity, and then absolutely capitulating lower. This time around, at this point, a lot of people were thinking that perhaps this was the top. I was even speculating on it. And then we dropped, slowly coiled up, and then made a new high for Bitcoin outside the top of the range, grabbing the upside liquidity. And now it does look like we could be headed lower if we start losing this point of control. Now, in terms of the interest rate decision, you can see here that all the way to December of 2026, there's still a 74% chance that rates stay exactly the same. The Fed is in a little bit of a tricky situation because oil prices are going through the roof. We have inflation actually continuing to crawl up, and the unemployment rate is also crawling up. Remember, the Fed has a dual mandate: maximum employment and price stability. But with these geopolitical tensions, with oil going through the roof, with the unemployment rate slowly rising, with inflation slowly rising, it makes it very, very difficult to achieve their objectives. So rate cuts are likely not going to come for quite some time. And because of this, it is within my expectations that Bitcoin will likely bleed lower, even if we are to get a bounce from around this point of control. Let's see how the price action develops. The last thing I really wanted to show you in today's quick update is the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map. You can see here that on the 30-day time frame, there's about the same amount of longs and shorts in this market. Previously, there were way more longs, but a lot of people are starting to jump into shorts. The time to short was from much, much higher in my opinion, and the idea is to add at key inflection points. And that sums up today's very quick video. I am still shorting Bitcoin, expecting lower prices, and the logical zone for a potential bounce would be the point of control. If we don't bounce from around there, I would be willing to say that 60K will come a lot sooner than most people are willing to admit. Don't hate me, hate the charts. I am trading the market that is right in front of me. We've been talking about a relief rally, and from around this zone, we were always going to get rejected. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.